This conference will now be recorded.
Yeah. So in today's session, we will understand about the importance of collections framework in Java. Okay. Collections framework in Java. The importance of collections framework in Java. Okay. What are the collections and why we need these collections? Okay. So do you have any idea? So as the name itself, okay. So as the name itself says, collections. Okay. So the name itself says collections. Okay. So it's going to deal with the group of things. Okay. Collection is nothing but what? Group of things. Group of things. Collection is nothing but group of things. When you have group of things, okay, when you have group of things, we can play with that group of things in different ways, right? So this is what, first you have to create that group. First you have to create that group, and then in that group you will be adding the things or items. You will be adding the items to the group. Okay, you will be adding the items to the group, or on requirement basis you can remove something from the group. You can add something to the group, you can remove from the group, or you can modify this item of the group. So you can perform different activities, okay, on this group of things. That's what collection. Okay, so that is what to do all these things. Okay, to do all these things, so as a programmer we have to think about the logics, how to add an item to the group, how to delete an item from the group, how to update an item to the group. Like so, to perform these basic operations, we will have to write the logic. We will have to think about the logic from the ground level. Okay, we will have to think the logic core level. Okay, suppose I wanted to arrange all these items in a particular order. Maybe I have group of persons and I wanted to sort them based on their heights, or I have group of products, I wanted to sort them based on the price, right? So the sorting is one kind of requirement, right? Sorting. So we'll have to sort the things, sort the items. So sorting is one thing, but searching is another thing. So likewise there are several operations that we need when we have a group of things. So to do all these things, okay, boss, please, you don't have to write the logic from the ground level. You do not have to think about that from the ground level. Okay, I have written all of them already. You just make use of them. Okay, most of the stuff I have done for you. And what you have to do is you will just need to understand what is that and how to use it. Okay, how to use it. That's what in general the framework says. Okay, framework. So this is general terminology. Okay, framework. Okay, it's a kind of semi-developed application, meaning that to fulfill your requirement, to complete your requirement. So most of the stuff is already implemented. You just need to make use of it. You just need to do plug and play. Okay, it's a kind of something like, so if you are planning to start a company, startup company, so what you will do? So are you going to construct a building? Are you going to construct a building and are you going to set up all the infra and then you will start? No, right? In general, not the way. So what we do, we will as we have a start, like we are going to it's going to be a startup with the 5 to 10 people. Okay, then so it is not a good idea, right? So what we do is we will go for hiring basis, like we'll go for desk hiring. Okay, we don't spend anything on the infrastructure or the building or whatever. So there are third parties who provides the things, right, like desk basis. So I'll just hire 5 disks or 10 disks, whatever I need, and I'll pay by like rental basis. Okay, meaning that so the building is ready and we can just plug and play. So you just come and you work. That's it. You don't worry about other things. Okay, everything else I have set it up. Okay, so that's what a kind of like a framework. So most of the job is done for you. You just need to do plug and play. So here the purpose of frameworks also, like its framework is nothing but most of the stuff is already handled, already implemented. You will just need to use that. Okay, framework is okay. So you can say semi-developed code. Okay, or so if you talk at big project level, you can say that okay, semi-developed applications. So half of the job is already done, or like 60% of the job is already done. So you'll just need to make use of it. Okay, so collections are also it's a framework. Why? Because we call it as a framework. So collections has so many predefined classes, so many predefined classes. Okay, predefined classes, so many predefined classes. Okay, it's not like one class or two classes. It has many classes, many predefined classes. Okay, provides okay, many predefined classes provides many utility many utilities, utility methods. Okay, utility methods. Okay, so we have so many predefined classes. Okay, so many predefined classes provides many utility methods. When I say utility, like that's what kind of help this is going to help us to make the things better for us to fulfill our actual business requirement, to implement our actual business. Let's focus about our business instead of focusing and spending time on some kind of generic and utility functionalities. Okay, so example, utility method examples. When I say utility method example, okay, sort is one method. So this is going to sort the data, whatever data you give, so it is going to sort it. So this the purpose of this is just it's going to help us, help the programmer. So you do not have to write the whole logic. Okay, you give me input what the data you wanted to sort, I will sort it for you. Okay, the similar way search, the similar way search. So something like this, you have many utility methods provided as part of these collection classes. Okay, so as these classes are grouped all together, so we can say it's a framework, nothing great. Okay, and what is the main motto of this is collections is, so collections are nothing but just data structures. Okay, collections are nothing but data structures. So that is collections are nothing but data structures. So what does it mean? So data structures in the sense like, so how you are going to structure your data. Okay, so we have different collections, each collection class, each collection has has a different behavior. Okay, so we have multiple collection classes, each collection class behaves or structure the data in different ways. Okay, it organizes in different ways, it accepts the data in a particular way. Okay, all the collections are not the same way. Okay, each collection behaves in a different way. Okay, so for suppose I have a group of items. Okay, I have a group of items. Okay, I have a group of items. Say for example, I have a group of products. Okay, there are laptops. I have a laptop. Okay, I have a mouse, keyboard, pen drive. Okay, so what are all these? So these are some group of things, right? Group of different products. Laptop is one product, mouse is another product, keyboard is another product, right? All these are different products, and I'm grouping together. Okay, so how I'm going to group these things? So that is one thing. And in other case, maybe I would require, in other case, I would require, okay, so I need to store something like this, okay. I wanted to store the items in a particular order. So for example, so damaged, okay, so this is a damaged item, and I'm going to structure all the damaged items here, okay. So keyboard is damaged item, okay, and mouse is also damaged, okay. So this is the list of damaged items. So I wanted to structure the data something like this. So something like I wanted to have the scores, student marks, okay. So for example, student marks, so I have a student object, okay. So I wanted to uh, give the marks like, okay, for physics, so 90 marks, mathematics, okay, so 80 marks, computers, okay, 95 marks. What if you look at this structure, so I wanted to store the data in this way. I wanted to organize, not store, I wanted to organize the data in this format. So basically this is just individual elements, individual things, individual objects, individual items. But here if you look at, it's going to be like a, so left hand side, right hand side, and you are assigning some value to that. So basically it's a kind of like a key value pairs, key value pairs, okay. So the point here is, okay, depends on the requirement, we do structure the data in different ways. That's what we call it as data structure. How the structure of the data would be like, depends on that. We have uh, categorized these data structures into different things. So collections into different things. What are the different things that we have collections in collections? So there are multiple things, okay. So we'll list out all the available uh, collection classes and interfaces, okay. We'll see that, okay. So before jumping in that, so you might have a question that, okay, so you might have a question that, okay, boss, I have an arrays concept, I have array concept, right? Okay, I have array concept where I can structure my data, okay, where I can group my data. So in one dimensional or two dimensional. Okay, I wanted to structure my data. Suppose I wanted to structure so integer data, I can take something like this. So these are what integers, right? So I have a products group of products, okay. Then you can customize a class, product class, and product array you can create, okay. Then you can have the product objects here, product 1, product 2, like this, okay. So you can establish, okay, you can establish something like this, okay. So you have arrays concept, then why again we do need the collections, okay. Why do we need these collections, okay. So the first challenge in arrays, okay, or limitations or challenges you can say, okay, in this arrays, okay, in arrays concept we have certain challenges, okay. So if you remember, okay, if you remember, whenever you are declaring an array, okay, whenever you are declaring an array, okay, whenever you are declaring an array, this is what the declaration, okay. And it is compulsory that you have to you have to specify the size. You have to specify the size, how many elements you have we're going to store in this particular array. So you say 10 elements, 10 elements. But imagine that this data you are getting from the database, or maybe you are getting these values at runtime, at the execution time. At the execution time, the number of elements to this array may vary. So that can be 10 elements, or maybe 20 elements, or 100 elements, okay. Just imagine that so at execution time, so you are getting 20 values. Then so is this array capable of storing all the 20 elements? No. So it can capture only 10 elements, and it can store those 10 elements, and and it will throw error for other things like array index out of bounds exception, and you're trying to store 11th element, right? So this is a static in size, like it's fixed in size. Okay, so arrays are fixed in size. That is the biggest problem. Okay, fixed in size, that is the biggest challenge. So it cannot grow automatically. Okay, it cannot grow automatically. So that is the biggest challenge in case of arrays. Okay, because we used to read the data from the data store, or we used to read the data from the user, end user, at execution time, at runtime. That's what, when the application is in live. So you cannot expect that. You cannot fix, okay, these many objects only I will be receiving, or this much data I'm going to get. Okay, so you will not be knowing about that. So you cannot fix it. So this is the biggest limitation that we have with arrays, to group, or to deal with group of elements, a group of objects. Okay, so the other challenge is, okay, so arrays are homogeneous, meaning that, so if you declare the type is integer, so it accepts only integers. Okay, it accepts only integer. So x of 0, so I'll have to give integer number only. Or suppose if I give a string here, okay, then it gives error, saying that, boss, this is integer array and you are trying to assign a string which is not allowed. Okay, so that is the problem, that is another challenge. Okay, so you can say that, or some people say that, okay, we have a concept of object type. So object is the super type for each and every class. So I will take object array, and obj is equal to new object array, where you can give size. Okay, so if you take this object, you can add any kind of object to this. Okay, you can add student object, you can add student object. Okay, you can add student object, you can add integer object. Okay, not a primitives, you cannot add primitives. So you will have to create object of integer, like this. Integer is a wrapper class on top of the primitive int. Okay, we'll speak about the wrapper classes too. Okay, so this is how you can handle it, but this is the extra burden on the developer. If you are going with this, you will have to take care of all the things. What are the challenges that we face around this object array usage? We will have to face it, like we'll have to take care of that all stuff, so which is extra burden on the developer. Okay, because this is a generic concept, this is a generic thing. Okay, generic thing, why do I need to give this burden to the developer? Okay, so that's what, let's abstract this and come out of that. Okay, so arrays are homogeneous types, homogeneous. Okay, so it doesn't allow heterogeneous data. Okay, so in general, and if the only one case is that, what if you wanted to allow different type of elements or objects to the array, is like to declare your array with object. Okay, so object. But if you go by this way, uh, as a developer, you will have to take care of all the things. Okay, so that is another limitation that we have with arrays. Okay, let's see limitations of object array. If you see that arrays are fixed in size. Okay, once we created an array, there is no chance of increasing or decreasing its size based on our requirement. So you cannot increase the size or you cannot decrease the size. So the other thing is, arrays can hold only homogeneous data elements, only homogeneous elements. So if you declare a student array, then it is compulsory that you will have to add only student objects. If you try to add any other object, integer or string, so that's going to be error. Okay, so how to resolve this problem? So that is what the option. So you can declare an object array, so that it accepts everything, every object, student, integer, string or whatever it is, because okay, because every class is derived class of object class. Object is a parent for everything, so always that is acceptable solution. Okay, but if you go with this approach, you will have to handle all the things. Okay, and there are no underlying data structures for arrays. Okay, okay, meaning that we have stack, linked list. Okay, we have some kind of data structures, core data structures, and it doesn't uses anything. Okay, doesn't use anything. So if you want to perform, like if you want to restrict, okay, I do not want to allow duplicate objects in my array. I don't want to allow the insertion or a removal of particular data structure. So that kind of customizations, like there is no way of doing it. So you will have to you will have to write the code for that. So automatically there is no support for arrays. Okay. So for that, like due to these problems, so yeah, so people introduced this collections concept. Okay, so collections are growable in nature, meaning that automatically it can grow. Like when once the size is reached, say you have initial size of 10, but you are trying to add 11th object, still then it automatically resize its capacity, and it will allow to add the things. Okay, you can increase or decrease the size. So collections can hold heterogeneous data elements. Whatever the limitations that we have, so collections solve them. Okay, and it has data structures support. Every collection class has a different data structure. Okay, that has different data structures support. Right. So this is the thing that where you can see the differences. Fixed in size. Sorry, these are not fixed in size, and arrays are fixed in size. So you can with respect to memory, collections are memory wise, so we don't have to worry about that memory part, but memory allocations wise, this is going to be good because of this reason. Okay, how much memory it is required for storing the elements, only that much is going to allocate it. Okay, so the data data storage with respect to memory is taken care by this framework, collections framework. Okay, so with respect to performance, of course, performance wise, when you look at the performance wise, okay, so collections are definitely not better than arrays. So if you know that, okay, if you are sure that, okay, you have certain number of objects like 10 elements or 20 elements. So if you know the size, fixed size, then and the elements are homogeneous, then you prefer arrays only, because it works well in performance wise, because in accessing the elements, because these are index based, so these are going to give the best performance to access the elements, to search the elements and all. Okay, but only the thing is you should be knowing the number of elements that you are going to store to the arrays, and the arrays element should be homogeneous, then arrays is the best option. Okay, so this allows heterogeneous elements, this doesn't allow. So every collection class has built in by using some data structures. Yes, underlying data structure. Every collection class, we have so many collection classes. Every collection class has some underlying data structure like stack or linked list or double linked list or binary tree or whatever. Okay, some data structure. So arrays are, doesn't use any data structures. It's a plain concept. Okay, so collections can hold, yeah, it only deals with the objects, doesn't deal with the primitives. But arrays, we can have primitives like int, float, char, all the stuff. For int, how to handle those kind of data is we do by using wrapper classes. It is going to handle collections. So collections handle only the objects, complete objects. Okay, so are you clear about these differences and the importance of the collections framework? Do you have any questions around this? Perfect. Okay. Right. So what are the different set of collections we have? So if you come to that point, okay, we have two separate families. Okay, collection is a single family. Okay, so collection is a family. So there is something called collection. Okay, there is something called collection, and this is a interface. Okay, this is the root interface. Okay, this is the root interface, and this guy has two things. Okay, so this guy collection has two things. Okay, one is one is you can say list. Okay, so collections has list. Yeah. Okay, list we have set. Okay, and something called we have something called vector. Okay, we have something called vector. Okay, so this interface is the root interface. Okay, this interface is the root interface, and this interface is extended by yeah, extended by list interface. Okay, uh, set interface and vector. Okay, so these are the collections, and there are implemented classes for list, implemented classes for set, implemented classes for vector. Okay, so yeah, vector is a class directly, it's a direct class. Okay, this is implementing this, it is a class. Okay, so let me write it. This is a class, and this is interface again, and list also interface again. Okay, come on. Okay, so list is an interface and set is an interface, vector is a class for the collections, and it's further it has it's a further implemented classes as well. Okay, so it has further implemented classes for list. Okay, we have something called ArrayList. We have something called ArrayList. Okay, so this is going to extend this guy. Okay, so not extend, this is what implement, because ArrayList is a class. Okay, ArrayList is a class. So this list is an interface implementing this, and this is what extends. Okay, so these are extending this. Okay, so there are many uh, interfaces, many classes overall in collections framework. Okay, so now let's go slowly one by one. Okay, let's understand first uh, the list hierarchy. Okay, array list, and then we'll go to set, then we'll jump into vector, then we'll look at the other family also. There is one more family called map family. Okay, map, so where we store the data as a key value pairs. Okay, so we'll speak about that once we are done with the collections portion. Okay, so map is the purpose of map is, okay, to store the data in the key value pairs. We have something called hash map. We have hash map, linked hash map, identity hash map. Okay, so we have different stuff again in this area. We'll speak about this once we are done with the collections portion. Okay, all right, let's understand this. Okay, let me write one array list. Okay, let me write one array list. Let me create one array list object, and Let's look at the code, source code. Okay. Let it open. Okay. So here, if you come to here, okay, let's see that collection list, and it's implemented by what? ArrayList. Of course, it has few other also, linked list and vector stack. These are legacy uh, classes because so these have been introduced in 1.0 version itself, and the whole other collections framework is introduced in 1.2 version. Okay, so Java 1.2 version, the collections framework is introduced, right? So let's go back to this. Okay, first we wanted to understand the hierarchy. Okay, that's important. So all these are collections. Okay, collections sample one. So as these are going to be utility classes, okay, so that is to help the developer, okay, to focus on his logic instead of uh, focusing on the core logic, okay, the base things from the scratch or from the ground level. So we call these as utility classes. So the package also they have given all these framework collections framework, they have given in a package called util package. Okay, in a package called util package, utilities. So the whole collections, okay, is given under util package. All right, so java dot util dot let me say star for now, or I'm going to discuss about array list. Let me take that array list. Okay, so array list. Okay, so if you get into the source code of ArrayList, okay, so you can see that here. Okay, so this is introduced in 1.2 version, Java 1.2 version. If you go a little up, you can see the whole story of this ArrayList. Okay, so documentation, you can find out the documentation here. So ArrayList is a resizable array implementation of the list interface. Resizable array, so meaning that so it will automatically grow when the size is reached. Okay, growable, that is what resizable. Okay, so it's going to implement all list operations, meaning that whatever the things that I have inside a list, all the methods it's going to provide implementation for that. Okay, permits all elements including null also, meaning that you can add a null value also to this. Okay, so you can get into this, so you can go through that all documentation. So come down. So array list is extended by basically abstract list. Abstract list is the parent class. Okay, and implementing what? List interface. It is also implementing random access interface, clonable interface, serializable interface. These are the different interfaces, okay, that list is going to ArrayList is going to implement. Okay, ArrayList is going to implement. So let me make a small picture of it. Okay, so it's the parents, so it has multiple parents. So if you speak about the ArrayList, if you speak about the ArrayList, this is important. Okay, you should understand very clearly the collections framework. You have to be very strong. Most important topic, okay, while working or for interview purpose. Both the ways, the most important topic is collections framework. You will have to understand this very clearly. Okay, so right. So array list is implementing what? List interface, and it is implementing random access interface. Okay, random access. So I'll speak about this also, don't worry. Random access, these are the interfaces, random access. And what else? It has clonable, that is also an interface. Okay, clonable is also an interface. And we have serializable, that is also an interface. Okay, these are the predefined interfaces. Okay, predefined interfaces. Each interface has its own behavior. Okay, it has its own set of operations. Okay, so list, it is extended by this and this guy, not extended by, what is that? Implemented by these guys. Okay, so these are all interfaces. Okay, all these are what? Interfaces. All right. Hope this is clear for you. Okay, so these are what? Interfaces. Okay, so ArrayList is implementing this. Make a note of this if you want. Okay, so ArrayList implements these many things. And apart from this, it is also extending a class. It is also extended a class. What is that class? Abstract list. Correct. So what is that? Abstract list. Okay, abstract list. This is a class. This is a class, and this guy is extended like this guy. Okay, so extends, right? So implements and extends. So this is what about ArrayList. So the question, like, so ArrayList, what are the interfaces that ArrayList is extended by? Extending. So ArrayList extends list interface, random access interface, clonable interface, and serializable interface. And it is extended by abstract list. It is extended by abstract list. So let me save this diagram. ArrayList stuff. Okay. Right. So if you observe, like at high level, let me give you next small idea. So list, it has operations basically to add the elements to the list, remove the elements from the list, and all basic operations. And when you come to random access interface, so it gives the benefit or advantage of, okay, um, accessing the elements randomly. Okay, it provides the ability to access the elements in the array list randomly. So random access. Okay, so array list is basically based on the index. Okay, it is based on the index. Okay, like array, how we have array. The reason is array list, the underlying data structure for array list is growable array. Okay, so I have told you every collection, okay, every collection implements certain data structures. Okay, certain data structures. Then what about ArrayList? So ArrayList is extended by, okay, ArrayList is extended by implemented by our underlying data structure are used. ArrayList is used uh, global array. So array is different, global array. It has that capability of what automatically it improves its size and all. So ArrayList is global array data structure. Global array data structure. All right. Yeah. So this is what so as it is array, it's based on the index and a clonable. When it comes to clonable, is the interface again to clone your object. Clone is nothing but a kind of a copy, a Xerox. Okay, so it helps. It gives the capability of creating a duplicate copy of your list object. Okay, this is what serializable. Serializable. The purpose of serializable is if your class is implementing serializable, then your class is going to get an advantage of sending that object of that class across the network, meaning that so we can convert this object Java object into file supported format. Files we can send across the network, but not the Java objects, right? So we'll have to convert that Java object into file supported format. So that's where the serializable helps. Okay, so that is why these ArrayList is implementing all this stuff, and it has all these advantages by doing all this. Okay, right. So that's what just introduction of the ArrayList. Okay, we'll speak more about this. Okay, but if you look at the source code of ArrayList, so uh, this is what all the headache. If there is no concept of ArrayList, whatever so we are doing here, everything, whatever I mean Java people, whatever they have done here, everything, every Java developer has to worry about that. See that, so it allows different kind of objects, meaning heterogeneous. ArrayList allows heterogeneous elements. Why? Because they have taken it as object array. Internally it is an array only, but the array given the capability of adjusting the size automatically. It's capable of increasing its capacity, okay, once the size is reached. Okay, it can string, it can reshuffle basically the memory. It can reshuffle the memory. Okay, so how to create this one? So in general, this is the best practice. You keep doing this. So always take the interface in the left hand side and take the implemented class in the right hand side. So this is generic stuff. Okay, generic concept. We'll speak after the collections. So I'm removing that for now. The Angular braces, whatever we got here, right? There. Okay. So now I just created array list. Now I can add the elements. Okay. I'll just use the methods of the array list class to add the elements. That's all. I can add list dot add of. Okay, list dot add of. Okay. Hello. So like this, I can. Okay. So I can add anything. Different type of elements I can add. Okay, I can add different type of elements. Okay, so it works well. So we'll continue more on this. Okay, and we'll spend time like anything on the collections, because the most important thing, I'll give you in-depth knowledge of collections. So yeah, try to practice on a regular basis. Okay, so we'll continue in next session.